Hello. Today I will be refuting the claim that public secondary schools in America fail to prepare students for college. I will do this by refuting my opponent's secondary claims that students have limited access to adequate preparation, declining test scores show that current policies are failing, and that students are unprepared for the basics, much less advanced work. So for the first claim that students have limited access to adequate preparation, my opponent showed an edutrust.org article that showed that just 8% of high school graduates completed college prep courses. And this does show that there is not many students completing these courses, but it doesn't cite anything about that the schools didn't offer them, or that the students did not have access to them, just that the students didn't utilize them. In fact, the article itself shows other factors such as socioeconomic status and personal motivation that affect how well students do in preparing for college, and these are mostly ignored, which are not necessarily related to schools providing programs such as this. And to provide also a counterclaim, there's the advanced placement, the AP program, which has shown great results. According to collegeboard.org, 132,000 teachers taught courses in 14,000 high schools during the 2012 school year, which is obviously a great deal of programs and teachers available. My own school had multiple AP programs available that I took part in, and many other students there took part in. And this does show that while there may be issues, it's not really because of inadequate preparation by the schools. The second claim was that declining test scores show that current policies are failing. My opponent cites a NPR report that shows that 40% of students scored at college-ready levels on the standardized NAEP test, even though 82% graduated. But again, the report itself acknowledges ambiguities in the standards that it used, such as that it only measures math and reading rather than other very important courses such as science and social studies that could show a big difference there. There's also some ambiguities between what is college ready on the report. She also claims from that same report that scores dropped dramatically, but the report itself actually states that the average score in both subjects was just 1 point lower in 2015 than 2013. So it doesn't really seem to be that there's been a massive dramatic decrease in scoring. Common standardized tests such as the SAT and the ACT only cover certain subjects, such as the SAT only covers math, writing, and reading, and they can't really be used as a comprehensive assessment of college readiness. There are multiple classes you can take that can make you college ready, so I don't know that declining test scores are really a good example of that students are not being college ready. The third claim is that I will be responding to is that students are unprepared for the basics, much less advanced work. My opponent cited a U.S. News report that again uses college readiness statistics based on the NAEP that does show that there are many problems in the decline in college readiness statistics. But again, there's no evidence that this is the fault of schools. There could be many other factors involved. All it shows is that there is a decline, not that schools have caused this decline. In the same article, Peggy Carr, the commissioner for the National Center for Education Statistics, notes herself that one reason for such a decline could be just that there's a historically low number of dropouts, which means that people are taking these tests who would not normally even be in this class. So there are outside factors that cloud this issue that this is the schools causing it, and in fact the historically low number of dropouts would seem to imply that schools are getting better. And there's also a Forbes report that notes that as many as 40% of high schoolers may feel chronically unmotivated to succeed, which is a key factor in, in being college ready. If you don't feel like you're able to succeed, then then that's going to affect the results you get. And that's something that can't completely be blamed on schools. That's something that can be also blamed on personal problems, on your socioeconomic status, on many other things. So, in conclusion, I have refuted the opponent's claims that students have limited access to adequate preparation, declining test scores show that current policies are failing, and that students are unprepared for the basics, much less advanced work.
All right, it's relatively easy to follow your arguments. You've got the structure laid out. You signpost the secondary claims. All that's fine. For the most part, you provide your own counterclaims on issues, or you explain how your argument applies to those particular claims. The repeated argument that you make in multiple supporting points is that the advocate failed to complete the inference that they have. They have data that suggests something is problematic, but they haven't got any data that suggests what the source of that particular problem is. So they've simply attributed the source of the problem to the schools when it could be something else. And I think that that's a reasonable point to make on most of the issues. I think on the first point, for instance, your strongest argument is on the AP class availability. I don't remember, it seemed to me like there was a number in the advocate's argument about the number of schools there are in the country. And your argument says that there are 132,000 teachers at 14,000 different high schools who are offering these AP classes. So, for instance, if the total number of schools in the country is 27,000, 28,000, something like that, then half of those schools are offering AP classes. That seems like it's a good effort on their part, and it's hard to attribute this 8% statistic that the advocate presents to not having access to those things. I think that's the way you want that argument to come across. On the second point, you're back to a little bit of an issue concerning what these numbers mean. The challenge on what the tests represent, that they just test math and reading and that there are other things that are important, I think that's an okay press on this issue. I don't know that it's all that convincing because, let's face it, math and reading are pretty essential to being able to succeed in college and to be prepared, especially the reading issue. I think that that's a major point that's going to go on there. So denying that, I think, is a little problematic. The argument that says that the average scores have gone down relatively a small amount over the last couple of years, I think that's okay. Anything that shows that more students are trying to enroll, I think, would also make a difference. There might be a lot of people who graduate, they've met the minimum qualifications for high school, but that doesn't mean that they're prepared for college. I think you could admit that there is a disparity between those two things, but for example, that a lot of the people who attend colleges are going to get themselves better prepared. They were not motivated in high school, and that's where you get to that on that last point, where you're suggesting that the real source of the problem might be a variety of other things, historical lack of motivation, economic issues. I did listen to that one quote that you had, 40% are chronically unmotivated, and I thought, does that mean they're all pot smokers and that's why they're unmotivated? That kind of thing. That might be another issue, that there are drug issues going on there. So, I thought you found good presses and good counterclaims on most of the arguments. Thank you.